Yeah, so I'm here. I want to debate the topic of veganism, animal rights. You down?
What do you mean debate the topic?
Yeah, so we could choose a debate proposition. I don't know. Veganism is a moral obligation, something like that. Debate that topic.
¿De dónde eres?
Puerto Rico.
Uy, Boricua. All right, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't really. I understand you're vegan. I assume, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I eat meat, but I'm a hypocrite in that sense because I think you're right. It's fucked up what they do to the animals in these places. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm just a big hypocrite, I guess, in that sense.
Okay, so I mean, at least you're intellectually honest about it. So why do it? Why choose to continue being a hypocrite?
Well, I think ideally, first of all, I don't think that it's wrong to eat animals, period. I just think that factory farming
Okay,
is
then
related.
we don't disagree. Then we I'm sorry. Then we do disagree. Then we can have a debate.
Okay. Well, I thought you meant just on the sense of like the conditions that the animals are subjected to in the factory farms. I mean, in that sense, I think that shit is really fucked up. But I don't think it's wrong necessarily to eat animals. So,
Okay,
okay,
so
we can
do
argue
you
that.
know that factory farms account for like I don't know like upwards of 95% of the animal products you would find?
Sure, that's probably right, but at the same time, I told you, I mean, I'm a hypocrite in that sense. But in terms of whether it's right or wrong to eat animals, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be a factory farm way. That just happens to be the way the world is now. But if we're talking about the concept of whether it's okay to eat an animal or not, that's a different debate.
And what's your view on that? On whether or not it's okay to kill and eat animals?
I think it's okay. I think it's part of our biology almost, you know?
Okay, so would you say it's okay just to seek some consistency if we were to holocaust humans and eat them for hamburgers? Would you see that as morally wrong and like choose not to finance that, for example?
To turn humans into hamburgers, what's the scenario where we would need to do that?
That's irrelevant to the hypothetical. Let's just say that all the animals that we're currently uh,
Okay, well,
factory
I mean,
farming and
obviously,
can I
obviously,
get my question
cannibalism.
across? Can
I
I
don't
get my
believe
question
in
across?
cannibalism. I don't believe in cannibalism.
Okay,
Okay, so that's my
that's okay. So you think you would be against holocausting and eating humans. So my question to you would be, what's true of humans? I said in reverse. What's true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify the same treatment for us?
You mean why do I have that view for humans and not other animals?
Yeah. So what accounts for the asymmetry in your attitude towards the two cases? You think it would be wrong to support a human holocaust for hamburgers, but you think it's fine to support the animal holocaust.
I
So
don't think we're
what's
doing.
what's the sim?
I don't know about the animal holocaust. That's the extreme terms. But anyways, the difference is that
So
I'm
do you
for.
know? I'm just going by the dictionary definition, by the way. If you look up Holocaust definition in Google, the first definition that would appear is slaughter on a mass scale. So do you agree that animals are slaughtered on a mass scale?
Okay, fine. We can use the term Holocaust. But yeah. So the difference is because I'm human. Obviously.
The difference is because you are human.
Yeah, it's the same reason why other animals will eat other animals, but not their own, because they are
So
part
okay,
of that.
let me ask you this. So if the difference is just because you are human, if you turned
Mhm.
out to not be human and be from another species, would it be fine to Holocaust humans for hamburgers if you just turned out to be from another species?
Yeah, I guess theoretically it wouldn't be as bad.
Would you accept that? Would you say that would be ethical?
Ethical is a weird thing because ethical is something that everybody self-defines. Ethical, there's no objective ethics. There is no
Yeah, I
objective
agree.
right. So, well, so then what's the point of ethical? I mean, I think the question is like, if I turned out to be another species, meaning like an alien, I'm just trying to think, like, or if I turned out to be a dolphin or something. Like, sure, I guess so. But I mean, it's quite a ridiculous hypothetical. Like, that's not one that's really.
The
I,
the fact, like the fact that you don't think the hypothetical is realistic, is it doesn't actually matter. I'm just trying to get to the core of what is it that you value, and you said that the
you
difference
think
that
that we,
accounts for the differential treatment is just that you're human. So
yeah,
like it would follow logically from that answer that you gave that a human Holocaust would be fine if you just turned out to be from another species.
probably. But if I was from another species, I don't think I would have the same thought capabilities that humans do. So I wouldn't even be thinking stuff like that.
That
I don't know.
doesn't matter. Like from your current
Okay, fine, fine. Then yes. Okay, sure.
from your current because I agree with you that morality is subjective, but you right now you have a moral system. Like I presume you have some values. So I'm asking you, not if you were from another species right now, like as you are right now, would you think it would be fine to Holocaust humans if you turned out to be from another species?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
It would be fine.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so like reopening like Auschwitz and holocausting human beings, like the way we're doing it with animals right now, would be totally fine if you turned out to be from another species. You're gonna bite the bullet on that one?
Oh, sure. I mean, if I was a panda, I wouldn't give a shit about humans. Why would I care?
No, let's say you were a sentient, sapient being like humans, like you
Okay, so
did.
but this is this is a different hypothetical then. Like, if you're so, am I like an alien? I'm an alien from another planet that's exactly like a human. I have the same thought capabilities as a human. I'm just not the same species. Because
Yeah,
that's
so
different. I
let's
mean,
say
I was thinking if I was one of the animals that we have now, you're stretching the hypothetical further and further. So
no,
is it
I'm just. This is why I meant originally by the hypothetical. I said different species. I didn't say like I didn't give any details about the intelligence of the being in question. Like let's just say it was a sapient being from another. You turned out to be a sapient being from another species. Let's say subjectively identical to the way you are right now, with the same
mhm.
cognitive capabilities. Would you say it's fine to Holocaust humans for hamburgers?
No, obviously, if I was a human clone and everything was identical to me being a human except my species, then no, obviously I wouldn't feel the same way.
Okay, then would you accept that that would be a contradiction?
No, it's not a contradiction. If I was a pig, I wouldn't be giving a shit about the humans. If I was a panda, I wouldn't be giving a shit about the humans because I wouldn't be thinking about that. If I
Yeah, so
am an alien race that is identical to humans in every way except for the biological foundations, then yeah, obviously I would think differently.
sure. So let me explain why it is in fact hypothetical. I asked you, what's the morally significant difference between humans and animals that justifies for the difference in treatment? You would say that's just because I'm human, so it's fine to Holocaust animals. So I asked you about in a situation where you were no longer a human, would you accept that in the human context? And
Well,
the
it
answer is
depends.
no. So that then the
Well,
difference
the
can't
answer is it
be that
depends. No,
that
the
you're human.
answer is it depends. The answer is it depends. I guess it depends. It depends on how sentient I would be. Sure. It depends. It depends what kind of species. You're not making a good point.
I'm just pointing out the contradiction. Do you accept that it entails a contradiction?
I don't accept that. No. I'm not
I asked you.
contradicting myself. I think what you're trying to fish for here is for me to say something like, the reason why I think it's okay to eat animals is because I'm human and because humans are capable of sentient thought, which animals aren't. Or let's say advanced sentient thought. I don't know how you want to qualify it or what, words you want to use, but I think you understand what I'm trying to get at here. If
Yeah.
I
So
was a
the reason it is a contradiction is because I asked what's the difference that accounts for the differential treatment, or what is it that justifies it? And you said you're human. So in a case that you are not a human, it would be justified to Holocaust
Okay, dude, I don't want
other
to do
humans.
this debate. No jodas. I don't want to do this debate, bro. Shit. If you want to talk to me like normally, like we can do it. I get what you're trying to pick at here. Sure, I should have said because I'm human and because humans are capable of advanced sentient thought that animals aren't. Okay?
Okay, so let me ask you the original question.
Yeah.
What is true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify the systematic slaughter of us? Like, what's true of them that, if true of us, would justify that?
What is true of animals that is not true of humans?
That's correct.
Well, they don't have developed prefrontal cortexes like humans do.
They don't have developed prefrontal cortex. Like, can you explain what you mean by that? Like,
Their brains are not as developed as ours. They're not
okay, so
capable of. Mm-hmm.
do you admit that some humans have a less developed brains than others? Like, there's like intellectually disabled humans, stuff like that. Would it be
Are you
fine
going
to
to
Holocaust
ask
them?
me? Are you gonna ask me if it's okay to eat retarded people? Because my answer will go back to saying I'm not a cannibal, and the reason why I wouldn't eat another human is because I'm part of the human species.
Okay, then that would be a contradiction.
All
Like
right,
the
you can call
you
it
said
whatever
you
you
said
want to call it. I don't really know of too many animal. I mean, there are, I suppose, some species out there that cannibalize, but it's quite rare.
my friend, I asked you what's the difference between us and animals that justifies the differential treatment. You said less developed brains.
That
Then
is
when I
part of it.
pointed out,
There can
let
be
me
more
let
than.
me let me finish
No, no, I'm not going to let
my
you
point.
finish, dude. You're not making a good point. There can be more than one reason. Did you know
Sure,
that?
okay, then
There can
point
be
them
more
out.
than one.
Point them out. Like
I've been
it's
pointing
not
them out, and you're saying it's a contradiction because it's not one or the other. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. It can be the fact that, okay, I wouldn't eat another human. Why? Well, fundamentally, because I'm not a cannibal. I don't have that biological drive in me to want to eat another human. I suppose if it was a matter of fucking survival, sure. I don't know. I mean, what are you? What does this have to
like
do with your original point about being a vegan, anyways? Can't we
okay
just skip to
when you
is
say
your argument every
I'm
time you
just
tell
looking
me
for
about
some
more
I'm just looking
consistency
for some.
rather than presenting an argument?
Are you gonna let me
Like,
respond? You asked me a question. Are you gonna let me respond?
yeah.
What I'm seeking for is logical consistency. So far, you've only contradicted yourself. So again,
No,
you can
no.
say multiple characteristics if you want. It doesn't have to be just one trait. But the thing is, when you say that the trait is an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, there are humans that have underdeveloped frontal cortexes,
Yes, but
and you're still.
unlike but
Let me
unlike
finish my point.
animals,
Let me
they are
finish my point, my friend.
humans.
Can I get my point across, bro?
Your
Why the
point is
interruption?
stupid. Your point is stupid, but go for it. Finish it.
The my only point is that you contradicted yourself because you said it comes down to P
Okay,
and
you
not
keep
P. In
saying the
formal
same
logic,
thing.
contradictions are P and not P. You said that the morally
Uh,
significant difference is underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, but in the case where humans would have underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, that wouldn't justify it. So again, what's the difference that accounts for the asymmetrical treatment or the set of differences?
so you know what you've just discovered? You've discovered that there can be multiple reasons for things. Very well
What
done.
are they? What are
In
they?
this case, some of the reasons include the fact that they are of the same species as I am, and other factors also when it comes to animals and why and whatever in the relation of this debate has also to do perhaps with their intelligence as well. Okay, so that means that there's two reasons. They don't have to contradict each other just because there's two reasons. They are part of the
What are the
same
two
argument.
reasons? I
Do I
said that
need, do I need to repeat
you
it
can
again?
name multiple traits. So what are the two traits again?
So I'll repeat it one more time. The fact is that I would not eat someone of the same species because I don't know, call it our humanity or whatever you want to whatever you want to call it, is that I don't have a drive to see other humans as food. That is probably rooted in the fact that I am a human and they are a human and we are of one species. Now, when you want to bring that argument in relation to animals and why it makes it okay for a human to eat an animal, then perhaps it's not just about a different species, because if I say something like that, you'll say, well, what if you were an alien? All right, well, so I don't know. I prefer to operate not in hypotheticals like that, but in reality. However, if it came to that hypothetical, it would likely be a question of intellect. In other words, if there is an alien that comes to this earth and whatever, and is almighty and intelligent or whatever, and he's way smarter than humans, he may think that it's okay to eat humans too. You know, maybe it's a matter of intellect that's involved sometimes as well. Why is
Wait,
it
can
okay
I
to eat
respond? Can I
certain
respond
animals?
because you're just rambling at this point? Can I respond? Your trait was species. Okay, so can you define what you mean by species? I presume when you say cannibalism, what you're against is eating somebody of the same species. So would you say the species is the difference is just being a human, like a Homo sapiens? That's the difference between us and them that justifies it.
I'm going to tell you
Yes,
one
yes
more
or no?
time because I'm going to tell you one more time that there are multiple reasons. Not everything is explained simply by one factor.
Okay,
Okay?
what are they then?
Are
Can you name them?
are we really going to do this again? Why don't you name them for me and let's see if you've been listening to what I said. What are the two
Yeah, you
factors?
were just rambling about how we're from different species. So
Okay, so
again,
one of them is species, and what's the other one?
underdeveloped prefrontal cortex.
Let's just say brain, developed brain, advanced developed thought, whatever you want to use, okay? But you don't have to be, okay, fine. We can say prefrontal cortex, whatever, sure. Okay,
Okay, so
so
like we just like sapiens, basically, like having sapiens or having high cognitive abilities or something like that.
so what are the two factors? One of them is species, and the other
Species.
one is
Okay, species.
intelligence. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay,
do
so
you the
maybe
reductio to
there's
that
other
view?
ones. Maybe there's other ones, by the way. Maybe we can continue speaking, and maybe there's other ones too.
Okay, so let me ask you this: like, if we were to find out that there's another species, maybe somewhere in this planet, maybe we discovered some aliens, and those aliens were subjectively identical to like mentally disabled people that exist right now, like mentally disabled humans, like the
Mhm.
same, like subjectively identical, like they would feel subjectively the same, but they just happen to be in another body, in another species. Would it be fine to holocaust them because they lack the two traits that you said that you value, which is different species and uh, high cognitive ability?
Why are we holocausting them?
Same reason we're holocausting animals. I'm just
We're,
asking why would you say
we're
it's
eating
justified in
them?
one case and not the other?
We're eating them?
Sure.
Okay, so we're eating a bunch of aliens that are different species and they're, as dumb as animals.
Not as dumb as animals, specifically as uh, uh, subjectively identical to mentally disabled humans that exist right now in our society.
Are
That you
mentally disabled
presumably
humans,
presumably
are
you
there
would
any
value.
animals are there any animals that are just as smart as mentally disabled humans?
Well, I'm not talking about just the smart. I'm talking about a identical subjective experience. So I'm not sure if there's identical subjective experiences among animals here on Earth, but I'm just
Well, I
saying in
never
this
said
in this
anything about
hypothetical
objective. I don't know what objective, subjective. I don't know what experience. I mean, that's just a vague term. I'm saying,
subjective
are there like
experience.
you're talking about retarded? Is there an animal that is more intelligent than a retarded human?
Will you answer the question or no?
Yeah, but I'm just curious. Do you know that first? Are there any animals that are as smart as a retarded human? I mean, by the way, the answer to the question I think would be, yeah, it would be okay. But I mean,
Okay, so
I'm
you would
wondering
say
because. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So you would say it's completely ethical to slaughter on a mass scale beings that are literally identical, subjectively speaking, to mentally disabled people from our species, but just happen to be like inhabit another body and be from another species.
Identical meaning what? You said identical in terms of brain capacity. And sure, in that sense, fine. Yeah, then I think it's
Yeah,
okay. I mean, as long
I
as,
de-
by the way, as long as we end up eating them and it's for a reason, I wouldn't say slaughter them just for the fun of it. I mean, if it's a matter where it's like, okay, these things will be consumed and they will give us nutrition, then sure. I think it's okay.
okay. So like it would like to put this into perspective. Like, do you know any mentally disabled people in your life, like around you?
No, I'm not friends with any.
Okay, but have you seen any of them? Like,
I've encountered them before, yes.
yeah. So we're talking about a being that could be identical to that person that you saw in public or whatever. They
Well,
could
in terms
even
of
look the same.
intelligence.
Yeah,
in
they
terms
could
of
even
intelligence.
look the same, just have different
No, well,
DNA.
if they look exactly like a human, then it would make it a little more difficult, wouldn't it?
Well, that wasn't ever one of the traits. You said different
Well,
species. Like
maybe that's a third trait then. Maybe the third trait is having humanity. So maybe that's something that you can link onto the species thing. Because if you come up with a hypothetical scenario where somebody's exactly the same as a human in every single way except they're not a human, okay, sure, I'll grant you that. Maybe that would be a little difficult. Good point. Very good point.
So why wouldn't you accept that there could be identical beings that from another species, like Neanderthals used to exist, like they were physically
Neanderthals are very
similar to us.
yeah, exactly. Neanderthals are closely related to us. I suppose this is maybe why a lot of people don't eat monkeys, maybe because monkeys are a little human-like. Maybe maybe there's something to do with that. Maybe there is also something to do with the idea of seeing is believing, and sight is our most important sense. And so, if something looks identical to us, we can only assume that they are like us. There's something in our brains that make us think that way.
Okay, but you would accept that it would be fine to slaughter them if they turned out to be like let's say Neanderthals were still around and we lined up all the mentally disabled Neanderthals. Would you say it's fine to eat them, kill and eat them?
No, because I probably wouldn't because they're too human-like. They're
Can you
too
define
similar.
human like? What do you mean human like? Like a lot of animals look like us. Like we are like they're other bipedal animals. They're like animals with like four limbs like us. Like
Well,
define what you
listen,
mean by
maybe a lot
human
of
like.
animals look like you, but I don't think so. I think I can tell the difference between a human and an animal.
Okay, so define human like.
If I can't tell the difference between what your hypothetical thing is and a human, then it's human-like. And if I can tell the difference, then it's animal. You get it?
Okay, so let's say it was sufficiently uh, distinct physically speaking, like that it would meet your criteria for being not human like, but it would have an identical experience, subjectively speaking, as the mentally disabled people you have met in person. Uh,
Hmm.
would it be fine to Holocaust to eat them?
Well, I think without getting into the argument of how mentally retarded they have to be, because I really don't want to have that argument, then yes, I think it's ethical. Sure, I
Okay,
would
so
be okay with
you would support the systematic Holocaust of beings that like are identical to the people that we value right
Nope.
now in our
Nope.
society that
Not
are
identical. Not identical. That's not what I
subjectively
said.
identical. Subjectively
No,
identical.
subjective. No, no, that's not what I said either. If they're identical in terms of brain capacity, then you have to say that specifically because we already talked about the other thing. I'm being really patient with you here, man, but you keep looping around in circles.
Like I don't know why this doesn't fit your criteria, man. You said different species. You said certain level of mental discapacity or so, like
Repeat the phrase. Repeat the
lower.
phrase.
Mhm.
Repeat the phrase that you were trying to say earlier, and I will tell you the part that I don't agree with. I'll let you finish.
My question is, if there turned out to be some beings that are sufficiently physically different from us, that they would meet your criteria for being not human-like, but they would have minds identical to those of mentally disabled people that exist right now in our society, would you say it's fine to line them up, stab them to death, and eat them?
Yes, as long it depends. I obviously think that it depends on the degree of retardation, but yes, I do.
Okay, and what would be the level?
I don't know. I'm not an
Let's
expert.
say let's say these beings, just uh, they can't speak like use language. They can't use tools, but they enjoy their own lives. They like mentally disabled people that exist right now. They want to live. They love their families. They stuff like that. Would you say it's fine to Holocaust and eat them?
No, I think they need to be a little bit more retarded than that.
Like, what do you mean?
They need to be a little bit more retarded than the description you just gave me.
And what would be the level?
I don't know because I'm not an expert on levels of retardation.
Like, are you just trying to say now that they have to be brain dead or something?
Not literally brain dead. I think there's just let's think. What is the difference? Brain dead.
Brain dead, I just mean not even having a sentient experience.
Well, a sentient experience. I mean, even animals have a sentient experience.
Exactly. So let's say let's draw the line there. Let's say they are as smart as a pig. Let's say, which is around the age of a 4-year-old children, 4-year-old kid, or 3-year-old kid, or
As
something
smart
like that.
as a kid. Is a 4-year-old really as smart as a pig?
I think it's three, actually three.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Okay, so you would say then it's fine to Holocaust beings that are subjectively identical to 3-year-olds in the body of something that doesn't look like a human?
Subjectively identical from a mental capacity standpoint? Yes, for
Yes,
sure.
mental capacity standpoint, and also their the all, like their minds. In other words, their minds are identical, their whole minds.
Well, no, then that again. So if you bring in their minds are identical, like listen, the way that I'm operating on this is the fact that you said a pig is as smart as a 3-year-old. So if we're talking about intelligence as it's measured by what you just said there, then I would be okay with it. When you bring other things into it, like a subjective human experience. Like I don't know what that means. It's the human experience is different for everyone. That's why you use the word subjective. So I can't answer that.
Yeah,
You have
by
to be
that
very
I just mean the qualia, just the what it feels like to be them. That's all. But they meet all the other criteria. They're not human. They don't look anything like a human. They just have
okay, but
this
does
like
a
identical
chicken
qualias.
does a chicken feel what it's like to be a chicken? I think so. Yeah, that's the fucking life. So what does qualia mean? Everything has qualia. I mean, what is it?
The question is
Anyways, listen.
qualia,
So,
the
so fine.
qualia
Let's
of
just
a
listen.
mentally
For
disabled
the sake
human.
of
That's the qualia.
all right, listen. For the sake of moving the discussion forward, yes. My answer is yes.
Okay, so I think that's insane. Like I think the beings that are in our society right now that have these kinds of mental disabilities, they are valuable because of who they are intrinsically. It doesn't have anything to do with their species or their DNA. I think your view is insane, but okay, if you're willing to bite that bullet, that you have a consistent view. And again, like you said, morality is subjective. So I agree that you are you we just have fundamental value differences at the end of the day. But I think most
Well,
people
yeah.
are gonna listen to what you're saying, and think it's pretty insane.
I don't think so. I think if actually people were more honest with themselves about why they think it's okay to eat meat, they would eventually reach a similar conclusion. I mean, if you asked everybody the same questions and did the same thing that you did with me, I think they would reach the same conclusions of why they think it's okay to eat animals but not humans.
No,
It has to do with this. Yeah.
well, that's just an empirical question. Like there could be three alternatives. Like they can just contradict themselves. Happens all the time. You contradicted yourself a few times at the beginning, but then you ended up having a consistent position. Other people just bite the bullet in insane views. Some people say yes, it would be fine to Holocaust the disabled. It would be fine to Holocaust like intelligent sapient beings, like just happen to be from another species, like aliens. Like people bite all sorts of bullets, but some people, there's a third category of people that just reflect on their values, and they find out they're vegan, and they don't see a morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies the difference in treatment. So I disagree with you that everybody would reach the same conclusion. Like you can just have vegan values.
No, what I'm saying, well, I never said everyone. I said most. And the fact of the matter is that Jesus. I mean, at least in the Western world, I don't know about the whole world, but most people aren't vegan. So I don't know. I think if you ask, and anyways, my point was not vegans. My point was asking other meat eaters. Yeah, there might be some people out there who think it's okay to Holocaust all the disabled people. I don't know in what situation we would possibly do such a thing, but I think it would be a little bit evil. Yeah. And again, I do think it's a little bit fucked up the way that we do factory farming. So, like I told you at the start of this call, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite in that way. But everybody is a little bit of a hypocrite in some way in their lives. It's very, very difficult to be completely morally consistent all the time because humans are moody and shit changes, you know? Were you always a vegan?
No, of course not. But when I found out I'm a hypocrite,
There you
and
go.
what's going on with animals is like a little moral emergency, dude. Like we're holocausting like 80 billion land animals every year, trillions of sea life. Like why the hell are we supporting this like horror and hellish industry when we can just eat something else? Like I'm if you like it, we found out that you don't believe in animal rights, but at least why not
That's
have
not true.
some
No, wait,
mercy and
wait, wait,
compassion for
wait.
them?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Don't paint me out to be somebody who doesn't give a shit about animals. Like I told you, I'm a hypocrite. I'm ready to admit that I'm a hypocrite for eating meat and supporting an industry whose practices I completely disagree with. But I'm going to raise you a counterpoint. Is that you're talking to me on a technological device right now that probably used some sort of exploitative labor. And so you're not morally consistent either. You just happen to be picking meat eating. But there's a lot of things in this world that humans do that aren't morally consistent in terms of how we live our lives. The products that we use, the things that we consume, it's not all fucking rainbows. A lot of it is shit. And it doesn't mean that,
Well,
and yeah, are we hypocrites? Sure. Yeah, fine. All of us are hypocrites, though. You're not special just because you chose this one. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
I'm not clear. It's not clear to me that I'm supporting any rights violation in the case of having my computer or whatever. There's a clear rights violation in supporting the animal holocaust, just like it would be in supporting human holocaust. But
Okay, well, then we just found out
I
that
don't
you don't care about exploitative labor practices. That's what we just found out.
I'm not sure like if I not buy this computer I'm actually making the world a better place. Like that's actually not necessarily true. Like it could be the case that those people that are making these computers are in the best situation that they possibly can. If we boycott that industry, they end up being in a worse situation. That could be the case.
It could.
Like it's
But
an
I guess we
empirical
found
question.
out
I'm
that you
not
don't care
convinced.
about. I guess we found out that you don't care about child labor. You don't care about exploitative labor. You don't care about slave labor.
Where's your
You don't
evidence?
care
Where's
about
your
any of that.
evidence? Where's your evidence that I support any of those?
Well, you're buying products that were made with that. What do you mean?
Like again, I'm not sure
But you're a hypocrite.
not buying those products would have
But
make
what if? But
the
what if
world
it did?
better.
But what if it did? But what if it did? What if the entire world refusing to buy products that was used with slave labor ended slave labor because companies realized they couldn't sell anything anymore? What if that happened? What? What if? See,
Then
you're a hypocrite.
it's
See,
it's
your
a
logic is
conditional.
inconsistent.
It's a
Your logic is
conditional.
inconsistent.
It's no, my friend. It's an empirical question. I'm not convinced what you're claiming is true, but I am convinced that the animal holocaust is
Oh no, 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 no! I'm telling
immoral.
you something. I'm telling you something. I'm telling you I'm sorry. Do you believe that if everybody in the world decided that it was not okay to buy products that were made with slave labor, that slave labor would continue? No, it
So
wouldn't.
a few
It
things
wouldn't.
there. A few things there. I'm not convinced. I'm supporting slave labor. Like you would have to provide some evidence for that. Like if I am supporting slave labor, like I would admit that it would be wrong to support the industry. But like the other point is like assuming it's not slave labor, it's just some sort of like a bad situation, like a sweatshop condition or something like that. I'm not
Oh, so you're
convinced
finding a
that
sweat.
not support. Can I finish my point? I'm not convinced that boycotting those products would make the world a better place. It could be the case that by not supporting those industries, those people would be in a worse off situation.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the hypothetical again. We don't have to use the term slave labor. We can use exploitative labor, bad labor conditions, sweatshops, whatever you want to use. Okay. We'll use exploitative labor conditions as a blanket statement. If everybody in the world decided to never buy products again that were made through exploitative labor conditions, would that end the practice?
Uh, It depends. Like it could end it, yeah. But it could also be the case that civilization would collapse because some people in other countries just don't have any other better option to how to make their money and stuff like that. So it could be that
Oh,
if
sure.
everybody decided to boycott industries that don't meet standards of Western civilization, it could be the case that the civilization collapses. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be the case that fucking a rocket ship shoots out your ass too, but that wasn't the question.
Well, the question is not an interesting question, man. You're just saying if it's the case
I'm doing the same thing to
that
you
you're
that you
that
did to me,
if it
and I'm
your
flipping it
question
on you and showing you that you're
can I
morally
finish my
inconsistent as well.
point? Can I
No,
finish my
I don't want
point?
you
Like
to answer it. Your point is boring. Your
the
point
way
is the
the
same thing that I said to
dude,
you. It's
you're
exactly the
the
same thing that I said to you, that it wasn't an interesting point. I'm flipping the script on you now to show you how annoying it was what you did there, and that you didn't actually prove anything. Like you might think that you're special for doing this vegan thing, but what I'm telling you is that you are also not perfectly morally consistent. You're going to be morally inconsistent too. And you're a hypocrite
I
too. Because
I
of the
am
way
I'm
you spend
sure.
your money and because of the products that you've bought, for you to believe that through your consumer behavior that nobody got harmed in the process is incredibly naive. Super, super
Okay, so
naive.
so 2 points there. I was still not convinced I'm being a hypocrite, but even assuming I am a hypocrite, that doesn't mean what like that would be a tu quoque fallacy either way. Like you would be still supporting immoral industry if we're talking about animal agriculture. Like so
I
the two
agree.
like
I'm not. I agree with you. Yeah, you're right.
okay,
You're
so
right.
like would you retrace your accusation like that I'm a hypocrite
No,
like.
no, you definitely are a hypocrite in some
Okay,
kind of
what's
way.
your
The same way
evidence?
that I support. Listen, oh my God, dude. Let me lay this out very simply to you. The
Okay, so
same way that
if it,
I.
but for by the way, let me for the hypocrisy claim to go through, you would have to point out what is the value that I hold that I'm contradicting with my actions. So first, you
I
have
don't
to
know
point
everything
out
about your
what is
life,
the.
buddy. Listen, it's the same way that I am supporting an industry whose practices I find morally reprehensible. You as well, through the things that you have decided to consume, it doesn't have to be food wise, okay? But how you've chosen to spend your money and how you've consumed from a like a from a product and service standpoint, there is at least some choice that you have made that you supported an industry whose practices you find morally reprehensible as well.
I disagree
That's
with that, or at least I'm unconvinced of
okay.
that. Like I'm not. It's
Well,
not clear to me.
then you're delusional. Then
Can I
you're
respond? Can
delusional.
I respond to your claim, dude?
Yeah,
Like
you're
I'm not. I'm.
delusional. You're going to say, "Give me an example. Give me an example about something I did." And I'm going to say, "I don't know what you spend your money on, but I'm sure you have some
That's
kind
not
of
what I'm gonna
technology
say.
there."
Can you let me respond, dude? Like you're getting a little riled up. Can I respond?
I'm getting
What
riled
I'm
up. That's
saying
ridiculous.
what I'm saying is that it's not clear to me that I'm committing a rights violation. Okay, like you have not provided an instance in which I am contradicting my values. You don't even know what my values are. Like I'm not some sort of utilitarian that thinks that like minimizing all suffering should be the moral standard. Like I accept that there's a degree of suffering that's gonna be uh, uh, inevitable by just choosing to be alive and have civilization and stuff like that. What is not clear to me is that I'm committing a rights violation. So it's not. I'm not convinced that it's a moral obligation to not consume products like computers and stuff like that, not to finance those industries. Because it's not clear
You
to me that
think
I'm
it,
committing a rights violation, but it's perfectly clear to me that I'm committing a rights violation when I'm holocausting animals.
no. What if the food that you ate was done in a humane way? You know? Like what if the animal wasn't a factory farmed animal? What if it was an old animal who lived a long and fulfilling life? You
Okay, so
know?
how do you
Then what
humanely
if that?
how do you
What if?
can you define humane?
Can you define humane?
Yeah, so let's say humane means compassionate. What's a compassionate way to kill an animal that doesn't want to die and doesn't need to die?
I'm saying, what if this animal did need to die?
What if they? Are you saying if I believe in
Like, you
mercy
don't
killing?
know. You
Sure,
don't
sure.
know. You don't know that. You don't know where your food came exactly. You can't say for sure. Just the same way that you don't know where your computer parts came from. What if the guy actually needed another leg or something like that? You
No,
know, you
dude,
can say
it's clear to me
it's
that like if I support animal agriculture, if I buy stuff like meat, for example, it's clear to me that I'm financing an industry that systematically kills animals and exploits them. So it is a
you
clear
don't know
rights
that. What
violation.
if the meat? What if the meat? What if you went to a restaurant and the meat that was served to you was a completely, it was an animal that needed to die and it was the humane thing to do? Then what? Then you would you be okay with it?
Yeah,
So you
in
don't
that
know.
case, if it was the case that it was a mercy killing or like it was justified in some way to kill this animal, like in self defense or something, then yeah, it would be ethical to eat it. Like I don't know what your point is here, dude.
You don't know where your meat is coming from. The same way that you don't know where your computer is coming from, you don't know what practices the industry does. Well, then you can't say for sure you know what practices the meat industry does either.
Can I say with a certain degree of certainty that if I buy meat, I'm supporting the meat industry, which you accept that like has horrible factory farms and stuff like that, like and that
Only if you're
most meat
prepared
comes
to
from that.
only if you're prepared to accept that some of the other products that you have in your home surrounding you right now were also made with a degree of certainty under exploitative labor conditions.
Well, the symmetry breakers. This is not clear to me that I'm violating anyone's rights in the other instance.
Oh, well, so what rights do you believe humans have?
They have
Do you think
a right to
exploiting
life, for example. I'm not convinced they're being exploited. They're in the best situation they can be. Like that's what I presume.
you think that the people in sweatshops are in the best situation they can be in?
Yeah, it could be the case that if you decided not to
No,
support
no,
that
no, 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 no,
sweatshop,
no,
if
no, no,
you,
no. I'm not asking for a hypothetical scenario. I'm saying, is that what you believe with a degree of certainty that the
yeah,
people in the sweatshops are
yes,
in the best scenario they can be in?
yes, it is.
Okay,
That
okay,
those people,
okay,
can you tell
okay.
me what can those people do to not be in those situations? Like, do can they just get another job, or are those people in that situation because that's what they have to do to survive in those places?
Harry, I don't know. Harry, it's like saying, oh, well, what if, we could have let this animal go, but then it would have just been killed by another animal and it would have suffered a more gruesome death. I mean, it's the same
I
fucking thing, dude. Like,
I
you're not,
wouldn't. I
you're
again,
impossible to talk to, dude. You're impossible to talk to. I'm
dude,
sorry. I
I'm
can't do
not clear. Yeah. So the guy is a complete dishonest piece of crap. Like I was just saying that there's a clear symmetry breaker between the two cases. Like in one case, we're clearly supporting an industry that holocaust animals in a mass scale, and on the other instance, I'm not convinced if I'm actually making the world a better place for like uh, boycotting a sweatshop. Like it could be if I boycott the sweatshop, those people would be in a worse situation. Like who knows? The animals, like if I finance the meat industry, is clearly the case that I'm paying for a Holocaust, and that's a clear rights violation in my view. So the guy's uh, again he bite the bullet on Holocausting being subjectively identical to the mentally disabled people we value right now in our society, and the guy is just a piece of crap.